Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Eurovision Fam pre-final stream. And I'm joined right now by Alicia Michelle, of course, who's our founder here. And it is I, Lily Loves Stuff. So we're going to go ahead and in this stream, we're kind of discussing the songs in the final in running order, and then we'll go ahead and go through and talk about some things that happened in the semifinals as well. So let's go ahead and kick it off with the first song on the running order, which is the Czech Republic. We are Domi with Lights Off. Do you want to kind of start with your feelings about the placement in the running order and the stage show for that one?
I think that you and I talked about this yesterday, that it was pretty obvious. I think we all sort of knew Czech Republic was going to open, but I think it's a great opener. I love the song. I think this is a great slot for them, and I think they're so excited to be kind of getting all of these really nice placings, and I think they're kind of surprised about it, but I don't think that there's anything surprising about it. It's a great modern song, and it's being executed to perfection, honestly, on stage.
Yeah, and it's just, so catchy. And it's one of those things where unfortunately I couldn't really watch what it looked like live, but I can say that they sounded fantastic. The vocalist, she had her best vocal night ever, I feel, last night so far. And I feel like the Czech Republic and the band can be very proud of this entry and, very happy with how they've been getting slots in the running order from the producers as well. Okay, so next up is Romania, Oars with Yamame. So, how do we feel about this one?
I'm a little surprised that they put it so early. I thought we might want it to break up some things. I'm surprised it's so early. I was almost thinking that maybe we could have gone with one of the more first half sort of slow songs with a downbeat. I was actually kind of thinking Armenia, but we knew Armenia needed time to be set up. But, I think we were all hoping that Switzerland would be number two, to be real. I think that was kind of the hope, but I do know Romania's is relatively easy to set up. It's on the main stage. But honestly, if it were me, and I don't know, people will say this like I'm trying to be shady, but I actually would have preferred us having the Netherlands or Germany, because isn't Germany pulled first half, right?
Yes, they're they're the first song in the second half is Germany.
Germany, okay. Yeah. So that, because it was Germany was on that cusp that I was like, that would be a good one because it's still got a nice beat, but again, I think that one has a lot of set pieces too.
Yeah.
So maybe Romania didn't have any other place to go, but sonically, I don't know if I would have had Romania that soon. I would have maybe held on to that one.
Looking at what's in the first half and second half, the first half is definitely more upbeat heavy. The second half is where all of our ballads are kind of sitting at. So I mean, that was my first reaction too when I saw the running order. I'm like, why are we putting Romania so early when we have we're a really very ballad heavy final? Why are we putting something upbeat right after something else that's upbeat? But like you said, I think that they just didn't have anywhere else to put Romania, and it's one of those songs that doesn't take a lot to set up. But I mean, let's do Romania and have a little dance party going along with the more upbeat party that we would be having. So from Romania, we're going into slot number 3 where Portugal is at. And it's Mara with Saudade, Saudade. When it comes to this one, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I would prefer for it to be a little later in the running order personally, but I think it's one of those things where the charm of Maro and the other ladies doing her backing vocals and the stage and everything, it's always going to be striking.
I definitely think it's striking. I do think the idea of this coming top 10, I think I'm fading away from that theory because I thought it could have possibly edged in just because I think I was thinking that juries would really like this. I think a lot of juries are familiar with Mara, so that was what I was thinking. But with this, I think it still has the opportunity to shine, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's, and it's simple to put up because going from Portugal, we head into Finland, and that one takes a lot to set up. That one really does. I would thought Finland would have probably come after a break, just because of putting all the balloons in place. So it seems like they're gonna have to rush it there.
I mean, look, I also wouldn't have been mad at Finland being in the second slot. I think it's memorable. You never forget it. I think putting it at the front end of the show, having the Rasmus sort of lead, we knew they couldn't be opening the show, but having them close up to the top, so then people are like, wait, the Rasmus is here? Okay, the Rasmus is here. So it's still coming, I think, early, but it does feel like we have Portugal, and then it's a hard shift to Finland.
Yeah.
And then we have another hard shift to Switzerland.
This year is all about the hard shifts, I feel like. Especially with Simi 1, we had like the way the running order went from the Netherlands to Moldova to Portugal was just like changing gears crazy. And we're getting the same sort of story happening as well in the final. So it is consistent with what we've been seeing from everything happening. And again, we have Switzerland, so it's like there's not much to set up with Switzerland. It's going to be able to be put in, and I can understand wanting to front load that one because it's so slow, and that way we don't have to worry about having an extra long streak of ballads because of the way that the luck of the draw happened. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about Switzerland at all?
Beautiful staging.
Yeah, it's a really effective staging. But from Switzerland, we go over to France with Alvin and Ayaz and Foulin. So as far as I can tell, looking at the clips we have, it looks like we're going to get the elevated version of the staging from the national final, which I'm down with. I think that's a slot that I think it's a slot that benefits them. Coming after something that's slower, they're going to pick up the energy again, heading into Norway, which is going to have more, a lot of energy going on.
It's interesting because with France, I think no matter where it was going to be slotted, you'll remember it. And honestly, I feel the same way about the UK and Spain. No matter where it'll be slotted, it'll be featured well, I think. And it'll be memorable. I think Germany was going to have a challenge where they would decide to put it. But yeah, I think France, Spain, and the UK have the benefit of really all being pretty quality and being, I think, even visually pretty different. You're not going to forget the green and the girls with the traditional wear sort of looking a little dark and creepy, telling you that they dance in the forest with the devil or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be something that you can easily remember and recall. Then just thinking here. Okay, so from that, we go into Norway, which is again an entry you're not going to forget. You've got neon yellow wolves dancing and singing about bananas. No one's going to forget that at all. And there's not much to set up, so we don't have to worry about setup time after we do the whole takedown of the platforms that France has. Okay, hello, Gusto. Okay, so from Norway we go into Armenia, which does take a lot of setup, and I think there'll probably be like maybe a break between Norway and Armenia, just so that way they can get everything set up on the stage, get Rosalind's house going. And again, I think that's one of those ones that it helps work as a transition. It's slower than Norway, and it's more introspective than Norway, and it's going to help us ease into Italy better. Because with Italy, that one is a song it's a moment of, having to pull back and reflect on emotions more than the other entries that we have, with where it's at.
I have to say, I think that there's a couple of songs here that have that ability to be good transition songs. Czech Republic is a song that you could put next to an up-tempo one or a slow track.
Yeah.
On my personal playlist, I typically would have, I would go from Portugal to Czech Republic. It doesn't ever feel like a hard turn. It is something you can ease into. I think Portugal has that quality. I think Armenia has that quality of a song that's just like, it's a nice little kind of transition track. I also think Lithuania is a good transition track. You could kind of slot it anywhere, and no matter what's on kind of either side of it, there will be a nice ease. So I love that about Armenia and the way that that song kind of acts as both palate cleanser, inoffensive, and easy, you know, and the way she delivers it with ease is really, really nice. I want to highlight this one comment. Do you think us superfans sometimes put too much emphasis on the running order? So short answer, yes.
Yeah.
You know, and then second part of the question, I know it has some effect, sure, but do you believe a good song package can win from anywhere? Short answer, yes. I think there used to be this thing in the fandom of like, you are DOA in the first half, but we've seen with a lot of wins recently that it doesn't really matter. It is your neighbors that I think can affect you, and I do think it can affect the televote. Jury, I think it has no bearing. But I will also say too, it can play around with the vocals, because it can, if you're next to, you know, Oakman, if you're and you're not really having your vocal together, or you're next to Sam, and then you show up right after, and you're not too tight on your vocal, I think it'll amplify and make it look worse potentially.
Yeah, it's like I think that that's a perfect way of highlighting it. It's like, yeah, we talk about the running order a lot because we're super fans. We're always going to talk about something and find a way to talk about our favorite thing, which is Eurovision. And I think that with the running order, the things that are the most important are just like what's around you and where you're like, that's more important than the actual slot number you're in. And I'm like a firm believer of you can win from any slot, just depending on the mood of Europe, the mood of the jury, and what's around you as well. And like the thing is also with producer running order is they want to make sure they have a good show. They want to keep people engaged. They want to keep people watching the whole time. They don't want anyone to turn off. So we have to kind of think of that as like, okay, where are we at in the songs and what we're choosing to place where. Okay, let's see here. We're going into from Armenia, we go into Italy. And again, I think that with that one, you know, I see why. I mean, they pulled the number out of the hat, so they really couldn't move around where to put Italy at. But with this one, I think it's going to be a nice moment to kind of sit back and relax, or you know, more like sit on the edge of your seat and really engage with what's a lovely ballad duet. And that's before we go into Spain with Chanel, and she's going to bring the party because she's brought the party consistently since Benidorm Fest. Consistently. And yeah, like I think that it's one of those ones where it's interesting that they put the two of the big five back to back, I think, here. Especially since these are two of the big fives that I think they're the two that are probably really highly anticipated out of the big five entries that we have. So it's interesting to put them back to back, I think. But I think they also pair nicely together in an odd sort of way.
I actually agree with that. I like the Italy-Spain combo. I think it's a nice combo. It's a solid, strong combo too. Right at that point where maybe some people might want to tune out of the show, we're hitting them with some heavy hitters. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's wrong to sort of do that. This is an interesting comment. I hope Czech Republic can still make the top 10 despite coming first. I think it can.
They're going to shine.
I think it can.
And when that comes up in the, I don't think you're going to forget it, number one. It's a catchy song. Like, you easily remember, you can recall what the hook of the song easily. You've got a good drop there. You've got a bunch of lights that people are going to recall. And when that comes up in the recap, people are going to go, oh, right, that one. So I do think the Czech Republic still has a pathway to get top 10 here. I mean, you know, people have won from the first slot before. So I can see them coming top 10.
Yeah, and I do think, just highlighting this comment as we continue sort of this discussion, I think we're going to see a lot of this idea that, yeah, people do want a good show, but I'm not going to lie, I actually think, as far as the entries are concerned, we're getting a good show. Now, on the hosting level, on the interval acts,
Huh. Yeah, that's a that's the sound to make there. And then from Spain we go into the Netherlands. So we're gonna go to something kind of downbeat and to something kind of introspective as well. And I think that it's interesting to put it's like we're in a chunk of native language right there between Italy, Spain, the Netherlands, and then Ukraine, who follows up the Netherlands. I think that the Netherlands also works as kind of a good transition too between Chanel's very like Spain's very upbeat, very dancey song. We're kind of gonna hold back and be a little more introspective, and you want to have a break between going with something that's like a heavy hitter like Spain into something else that people are going to be talking about with Ukraine. Um, so that's going to probably be like the section of 4 songs I'm the most excited for when we get to the show tomorrow, as far as watching it goes. And then from the Netherlands, we will be going into Ukraine. Um, and that's Ukraine's closing out the first half. It's one of those ones that people are going to be talking about, and it's one of the ones that people are going to be looking for because every article, that's what people are going to be writing about. Like all your national media coverage is going to be talking about Ukraine, and even here in the States, every coverage I'm seeing of Eurovision related is all bringing up Ukraine as well. I would have opened with
honest,
it. That's good.
yeah, this is the thing. I think Ukraine is winning this
Yeah.
year. And I will say, in thinking of the Netherlands, I actually think the Netherlands gets to stand out next to Spain. It's Ukraine following that's gonna, and somebody had to be the person.
Yeah.
And
Someone had to
low
be
key, yeah, someone, it was gonna happen to someone. But I do think the sandwich of Spain, Netherlands, and Ukraine, they're all different. So I think they all have the ability to shine within their demo and the people who will like it. So I think that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been bad to have like France next to Ukraine. That would have felt a little weird. I even argue, I think a Finland next to Ukraine would be too much.
Yeah.
So I actually think Esteem with the Ukraine following might not be serving it the best. But then again, I'm like, it's such a strong song. Like, I'm more so saying this not based on the song, but I think the way that the Netherlands decided to stage it could have done better, honestly, maybe in a Portugal, like where Portugal's falling. And then if Portugal was in the Netherlands position, I think Portugal could have really stood alone because visually, we've really got a shift a little bit. And again, I just think that Portugal's song, this is going back to what I said earlier, talking about transition songs. I think that Portugal is a good transition song.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. And I think like also with the 3 of them, they're also visually different. So you're gonna remember it, and there's something about she's just standing there where Chanel's dancing, and Ukraine. There's a lot of movement and color with what they're bringing to the stage, but like it's still striking when you're watching the Netherlands. Like it's still something that you're gonna sit back and focus on, and I think that that's I don't I don't know how necessarily she would be, but I do agree with you that Portugal kind of just works as a transition song when you put it next to anything. There's just a quality about that that's like that. And then from Ukraine, we go into the second half, and Germany's opening up the second half with, Malik bringing us Rockstar. Oh, that's a good question. I don't think so. I don't
Oh, I
think
think
so.
we're gonna have. I think we're gonna have a couple of 0 points this year.
Well,
I
I
think the
don't think
televote was
Germany's going to be
so
one of them.
decisive. Okay, yeah, I think that the televote is going to be extremely decisive this year,
Oh,
much
yeah.
like last year.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't think Germany's gonna be getting 0 points. That's my main thing is, like, I mean, I'm sure we'll get some 0 points, but I can't see it being like last year we had the 4 in the row. I think that Germany might not get televotes, but they'll at least get something from the jury this year. Because the thing is, like, with Germany, it's just like
I don't
it's
know.
so
I don't know.
I just don't want them to come last. You know what I mean? Like,
They might.
they might. Yeah, they might.
They might.
But yeah, we'll see. Um, but yeah, from Germany, we go into
Yeah,
Lithuania.
Georgia's. Well, I was gonna say Georgia's the same. Germany, Switzerland, Belgium. See, of that mix, Germany will be the one I'd be most concerned about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I agree with Augusto. I very much so think we could have 4 to 5 countries.
4 to 5.
I could see it. I could see it.
Gosh, I can't handle that
Or
again.
under 5. Under
Yeah.
5, like 0 to under 5 points.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I see what you mean there. It's like maybe I'm just being too kind to everybody and going, oh yeah, no one's gonna get completely blanked. So from Germany, we go into Lithuania. Um, and again, I just feel like Monica has such stage presence. You can put her almost anywhere and she's gonna shine. Um,
Again, another one of these songs that I think is a transition song. It's because it's not quite a ballad. It's not like necessarily a party song, but it's definitely not a dirge. So
no.
you can really sort of slot it anywhere, and it's in.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. I think that like that's one of the benefits you have with that one in particular. And then from Lithuania we're gonna go into Azerbaijan with Nadir. That staging, that vocal, it's gonna shine. It's absolutely gonna shine there.
Yeah,
Um,
I think some people, when we had conversations where we were really focusing and honing in on the songs, the idea was that, Azerbaijan maybe had the weakest of the songs, but it might have the strongest staging package,
it does.
which
It
is also
has
not, which is not crazy because Azerbaijan knows how to stage.
yeah. Azerbaijan is a country that they know what to do when it comes to staging and they do it. And again, the vocal from Nadir is so good. It really is. And it really his vocal comes alive much better live than it does in the studio cut. And that's a real talent. And that's gonna make this one really shine with I think the juries and the televote as well. So from Azerbaijan we go into Belgium. Um I
Here's the
yeah.
thing with this one. I said this earlier in the stream. I don't know what Jeremy's been doing. I don't know what he plans on doing. But he should be planning on not speaking
That would be a
and
good idea.
drinking water. Just taking some spoonfuls of honey, probably every 2 hours. We can play around with some turmeric just for, immunity, strength. And, before we go on stage, some really good lukewarm water with lemon. Because with him being next to Nadir,
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like I would be like if I was a vocalist, I'd be afraid of falling up a deer. Like I would be like, I'm not sure if I can handle this, but it's gonna make that happen. Um, yeah, it happens every year that we get one of those songs that we're like, okay. But yeah, after Belgium, we go into Greece. Oh my gosh, and the song is so gorgeous. The staging is beautiful, and the moments of silence are needed and necessary. And I think they really make this one stand out and make this one really shine.
I think Greece is beautiful on the stage. I'm not catching a win. I think people have been asking me about that. I'm not catching a win. but that's mostly because I'm just fixated on Ukraine winning.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I will say I do think that Greece is in a good spot.
Yeah.
I definitely think they're in a good spot.
They're in
And actually, someone said, I have a feeling that she did well with the jury, not so much with the televote. I actually don't agree with that. I think in the semi, she was still able to come top 3, top 4 with the televote. I think in the semi, not win it. Obviously, she was in the semi with Ukraine, and I think Ukraine won the televote and the jury in the semi. And I think with the jury, she might have been second. Actually, I think she was second with the jury. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But I think that Greece does work as a good transition from Belgium into Iceland. We're kind of going into that sort of quieter. Well, honestly, most of this half is very quiet. But I think with Iceland, no matter what, they're gonna again shine in their own way with the way that just the harmonies between the three of them is so good. And with the way that everything is done with that song, it feels like it feels kind of like a throwback, but an easy throwback that's accessible for everybody. Because when I hear that and I see the visual of, the staging, I think of, rootsy music from like the 60s and the 70s, that rootsy folk sound. And I'm getting that visually as well with the way that they decided to stage and style. I think that that's going to benefit them. Okay. And then from Iceland, we go into Moldova, which is one of our few upbeat songs in this half. And no matter where you put that one, it's going to stand out and it's going to get people going.
Moldova's coming top 10.
Yeah, they're coming
Moldova's
easily.
Coming top 10.
There's no way. I can't imagine where they don't come top 10, especially with this running order and especially with the luck of how things came out when we were drawing lots. And from Moldova, we go into... if people are upset about it, they can just deal with it as far as I'm concerned. Because, it's going to happen. And the people who are going to be upset about it are people who I don't really want to listen to either, to be completely honest. And then from Moldova, we do go into Sweden. And when we hit into Sweden, we've got Cornelia. And it's it's again, I feel like we're in the same thing with the semi. With Semi 1, where it was just quiet, loud, quiet again. So Sweden, I think, is going to serve as, a good transition between Moldova and Australia. And I do think that there still is a chance for Sweden to come top 10, even with, the running order and everything, because that song is just so quality. It's such a quality song. And it's one that's immediate. I think that when we think about Eurovision, as fans, we kind of forget how we felt the first time we heard a song. And I think the first time people are going to be hearing Hold Me Closer, they're going to go, oh, I like that one. Especially if, Moldova isn't your cup of tea with how loud and how in your face it is. You can kind of go, oh, I like this one here. And then from Sweden, we go into Australia, which again, I feel like
I like Sweden and Australia next to each other, actually.
Me too.
I had this on my playlist with them next to
really?
each other. Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I think they live in the same universe without being similar. And I think they're both quality songs. And there was a comment earlier that was like, it's going to be so many slow songs. These are slow quality songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They are good songs. And it's crazy because it's interesting because I think some people thought maybe I was let down. But I think it was more so I think Louise and Julia were a little bit bummed. I have most of, and I think we were also bummed for Brooke because I think we all knew that Brooke was really going for it and she really, I think, wanted to do well, and I think we wanted it for her, so we could be bummed about that. But all in all, I got most of my favorites.
Oh yeah,
the only favorites I lost, I should say the only favorite I lost unexpectedly was Albania, because I didn't think that Ireland was going to qualify, and I didn't think that San Marino was going to qualify. And then I ended up, you know, with every, you know, so I prepared myself for those to not make it. And Albania was really the only one that I was like, oh no, like they're definitely making it.
Yeah.
But when we saw the staging package, I was like, okay, this one we could lose. This one we could lose. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that, like, when it comes to Albania, I really think it was the staging that hurt it.
Yeah, it was only, to me, it was only the staging, and I actually think Albania might have been on the cusp.
Like, they came 11th in that semi.
I think, yeah,
Yeah.
I actually do think that they were on the cusp. I don't think that
Yeah.
it was like this complete blanking either way. I think it was right there on the cusp, and they got edged out by someone else.
Yeah.
Maybe
Honestly-
Iceland, maybe Switzerland. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm excited to see these. I'm excited to see these results from.
This is actually like most of the time we get the winner, and I'm like, oh, I don't really need to look at these results because like I'm cool with the winner. So
Yeah.
and I don't. It's not that I wouldn't be cool with the winner this year, but I am so curious the path to how. Whereas other years I'm just like, I don't need to see the path. We got there. But
Yeah.
this year I am curious of like how did things sort of stack out and whatnot.
Yeah, like where the numbers are at. And it's like, exactly. It's like, I don't want to be like, because I'm kind of like, it's hard to come up with a running order for this one because of how many ballads they are, but they're not bad ballads. And
No.
I'm not really a ballad person personally. It's just I would rather listen to something more upbeat for my own personal taste. But all the ballads we have are good ballads. Like there's not a single one of these I would define as being a poor song. Especially when we have the combination of the live. Because it's like when it comes to Eurovision, I think of it as two separate entities. The live stage show and what we get at Eurovision itself and what the songs are on their own outside of Eurovision. Because there are some songs that I cannot stand the studio cuts, just historically speaking, but I will sit there and watch it live. Or I think, oh, let me go rewatch that one because I think it's such a good thing when we get the overall package. But like I said, we have Australia, and I think that this combination of Australia, the United Kingdom, and Poland, that's gonna be a powerhouse of male vocals. That's gonna really
Yeah,
be
I'm into it, and actually, I do think that there was a question here about do we still see a win for Sweden? I don't think so.
no.
I don't think so.
It's coming top 10, but it's not
Yeah.
going to win.
No.
It's like at this point, I just don't see how Sweden can make it to the very top. But you know, it was one of those things where this year before we got on the ground, I feel like it was a good mix of what could happen.
I mean, I think I think we've got. I think we have more of a mix than people are giving us credit for. I think also too we have to remember that some of our ballads are power ballads. You know, so we're getting some drama, we're getting some intrigue built up. They're songs that take us somewhere, so I think that. And then you know, with Steven, I'm just curious to see the jury results. My theory is that ballads got elevated too far for the bops to catch up. And you know, on semifinal one, I agree with that. On semifinal one, I think that is what happened, except for the fact that I think the televote, although Ukraine won the televote, I think we were looking at potentially a third and fourth slot of Moldova and Norway. So it was, you know, and maybe one ballot creeped in. And I'm thinking that could have been Greece. But we're going to see, I think, the televote really coalescing around those. But then in Semi 2, it's trickier because our pure pop song of Semi 2 was Brooke. And I just think people, I don't.
Do you think that
Maybe some of it too, I think some of it too is maybe people don't want that from Ireland.
Maybe. But like, what do people want from Ireland at this point? They've kind of tried a little bit of
Consistency.
There we go.
Consistency is what they want. They have been dipping and dabbling, and I think what they need to do is identify the thing that they think they're good at and just dig in your heels and do it to death. give us different variations, but get good at that thing. Because when
Yeah.
you're dipping and dabbling and sort of shifting, it can give people whiplash and then they don't know what they're going to get from you. And expectancy is a good thing.
Yeah, like having that people expect to see from you consistently. So yeah, from Australia we go into the United Kingdom. I love the way that this song sounds. I love the way that it looks. And while it is a ballad, like you mentioned, it's a power ballad. It's a song that, and it sounds familiar. And it sounds something that, it sounds like it's familiar, and it sounds like something you'd expect to hear the United Kingdom's, like the UK would make outside of Eurovision. It sounds like a British song. I don't know how else to really phrase that one. I think that's just going to really help benefit the United Kingdom. I feel like with the United Kingdom, they're going to do much better than they've done in years and years and years. And I just, I think that the UK should be happy and proud with whatever, happens, because I think Sam's been an excellent ambassador of Eurovision and an excellent ambassador to Eurovision as well when it comes to the UK. Poland is following up the United Kingdom. Again, this is going to be a great vocal. Like this run of 3 is just like, let's have some male vocals that just are here to shine. Like here to shine and show off. Like, you guys don't think Eurovision can do vocal? They can. And out of Poland, we go into Serbia. This one's one of those songs that no matter where you place it,
I'm telling you, I think Serbia did really, really well with the televote and Semi too. I think they did really, really well. And I also think, if you're a producer, you're looking at the fact that people are curious about that entry. So put it low in the show so then they have to keep watching until it pops up for sure.
Yeah. So again, with like that one's one of those ones that's going to shine no matter what. And I think that, putting it second to last is a good spot for it, really. I wouldn't want to close on that one, but I wouldn't want to have it close to the end so that people stay tuned, especially
I have to say, I'm loving that we're ending on hope. I'm loving
exactly.
that we're ending with Estonia and ending on a nice note.
Nice, hopeful note, kind of easing us into the end of the contest. And especially
this is I have to say, we got a really good comment. Because what would you do, Lily?
Ooh, just play 2021. I mean, are you having, like, you guys are, like, you invited friends over to do a watch party for this year? I would say before the show starts, like, I don't know what time you have people coming in. Maybe they're coming in earlier than the show, like about 30 minutes or so. Just kind of have like a playlist going, maybe on like YouTube on your TV, of some Eurovision entries that you really like, that are like some highlighted ones, and go like, oh yeah, this is just kind of what Eurovision is. And then go ahead and put the show on, because I think that's what my approach would be there. Is just kind of showing people some other entries before you go into this one in particular.
I mean, I kind of said this before, that this is not the year that like, there are some standouts. Yeah, maybe make your little ESC faves YouTube playlist. Especially because Americans who don't know about I would definitely play 2021. I like, after the year happened, I was like, oh, this is the show. Yeah. So many of those songs. I mean, we had like 20 winners last year.
Yeah.
If not more. It was just a really strong year, and I think everyone really showed up and stepped up, and it was a great year. So no shade to this year.
Yeah. It's just like, if you're trying to introduce people, it's a hard one to introduce people with. Yeah. I don't know, because it's one of those ones I think about, like, my first year ever was 2009. And if I go back and I go, if my first year was 2008, would I have stuck with it, But yeah, I think that would be a good idea to go with, is something like you have your little playlist there. But yeah, I do like that we're ending on a hopeful note with Estonia. I think that's going to make it like a really nice closer there for us. Yeah, I really like it as a closer too. It's just one of those ones that, with the kind of year we're having, we need a little bit of hope. and we need a little bit of a charming Estonian singer with a guitar smiling down the camera. And him and his wine mom vote.
I approve. So yeah, I mean, yeah, who do we think is our second and third place?
I have a gut feeling the UK is going to do crazy well this year. It's just there's something about the United Kingdom that I keep going with. Like, I think it's one of those ones that in another year it could win. And there's just something about that song that I feel like it's going to come pretty high.
I don't know why, but I'm feeling like Italy's third place.
Italy third, I'm happy with. I'd be very
Yeah.
happy with Italy getting third.
I just, yeah, I'm in this weird space of like, yeah, Italy, I think Italy finishing third, maybe even being second with the televote. Chanel then what, maybe gets an opportunity to be fourth or fifth with the televote, and then third with the jury.
Okay, I'm okay with that again because she deserves it. Like after, and again, if the UK and if the UK Spain, if they can both come that high up, that's a win for them because they've been languishing so low down for so long that coming top 5, even top 10, is a victory for them. When it comes to Italy, that song is arresting, in my opinion. I think back to the first time I ever heard Brividi, and I had to stop what I was doing and just focus on that. I had like San Remo on in the background, and I stopped what I was doing to focus on that one. Yeah, like everything, as far as I'm concerned, the Big Five are the strongest they've been in years. Like, I don't think I've ever seen the Big Five this strong, and I'm so happy for them. Here's another one.
Yeah, I think I think if anything, if people want to look back at this year, I hope that maybe this becomes the year that the Big Five sorted their stuff out. Because even with, other than Germany to a certain degree, but then it's weird because, again, I think Malik was the best in the national selection. I think that was the song to send to Eurovision. That was their best shot. And I also think the way that the way that they're staging it is actually really good.
Yeah.
Like, which just also makes me go, when they have something good, like, you know what I mean? Like, then once they get something like a really good track, they'll then be able to follow through with it, which is good.
Yeah, like really. I think it's just when it comes to Germany, I love the way they're staging it, where it's kind of like the song is very introspective, looking at the past and how you felt in the past. So I think having the instruments around him, it's like his memories are his bandmates, and I think that's really effective there.
I mean, I think what Spain is serving is also just, it feels like the Super Bowl. It feels like A Star is Born. It just, maybe it ends up being the Eleni Fuera. I don't know. I think this is the thing that I'm at. I think that I think Ukraine is going to win. So let me just start off there. I think Ukraine is going to win. But I also will say, and I think that Ukraine clearly was seeking some level of introspection when it comes to the semis.
Yeah.
But they have yet to really be served Spain.
Yeah.
They've yet to be served Spain. They've really yet to even be served something Spain adjacent.
Yeah.
Like, real talk. And even if we want to say, well, Romania's in the fields. Well, guess what? Romania qualified. In a tough semi.
Yeah.
With not a lot of friends.
Nope.
Romania qualified. So maybe, and let's not play, on Tuesday, Moldova and Norway, I believe, performed quite well with the televote. I don't know, but performed quite well with the televote. So, maybe there is still some hope to be had for Chanel, because they haven't really been served. The televote has not been served that. The jury has not been served that. So we can't even completely speculate on how they'd respond to it, because they really haven't been served anything like it.
I mean, it's like Chanel, like you said, Super Bowl. Because when I look at Chanel as a performer, I'm looking at her vocal, her dancing ability. I low key want to say the name Beyonce. Like she's kind of giving us what Beyonce does, and I think that that's something that needs to be applauded no matter what. Um, there we go. Chanel can become the next international superstar. Well, Olivia Newton-John didn't win. No, I mean, you know what I mean? She didn't win, but she became a superstar afterwards. So yeah, I'm all for Spain doing well. And I think that would be good for them to have happen. But we've kind of gone over the running order for, everything. Was there anything from either one of the semis that you wanted to talk about?
Well, I wanted you to give space on just how you're overall feeling going into the final, who you think will win, and yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I do agree that Ukraine's probably got this one in the bag at this point. But if you would allow me to be delusional for a moment, I still want to pretend that, Lithuania has a chance at it, just because I do love that song so, so much. And yeah, I think that's like kind of thing that I'm like, yeah, no, let's have that one win, or something else of that nature. I really do think that we're going to be looking at a Ukrainian win. I really do think that we're going to be looking at maybe, I think we might be easing into another year where native language kind of does really well along the top. Because I like to see that. I like to see that, last year, top 4 were all native language. And I would like to have that happen again, just because I think that that's a good benefit to have happen with it. Yeah, Lithuania was a great qualifier. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it's just, there's something about the song, the way it's written and the production on it, that's so unique. And so like, it makes you want to take apart how the song is put together. And for me, like, that's probably the biggest compliment I can give a song is I want to figure out how this song works. Like, what makes it so good. Yeah, I just like, yeah. Really
Yeah, I think what people are wrongly sensing from some as like a letdown, because I've seen some comments like this on Twitter, and I think I responded like, look, I remember in 2019 there were a lot of people who were kind of like, oh, how boring, at Arcade 1, because really after it dropped, it was number 1 in the betting odds for weeks.
Yeah.
No one overtook him. Soldi came close, but it never overtook him. So it felt like we had this sort of ushered in winner moment, which happens. And I will say, I think, although I don't think the betting odds shakes out everything, they have been predicting the winner.
Yeah.
They've gotten the winner right. So, I think it's interesting too, because I do think the other sort of unspoken thing in the space is, I think the road to this Eurovision, with us not getting a ton of information, like where it was like, okay, well, where's Eurovillage going to be? That hype train that we could have had with getting all our nuggets at every stop. It's like the hype train kind of stopped in January, and then we never quite picked up steam to sort of keep driving us through rehearsals and whatnot. So I think that might be what people are feeling, because it's like we never even really got that like hype thing.
Is it, do you think maybe they held back on stuff until April while they were waiting for like all the national finals to go through? Kind of like how we didn't have much.
Well, I think the thing was, we had a lot of national finals, but what that did was, then a lot of people were focusing on what their own country was doing, for some of the countries that haven't had national selections. So I think that might have been at play. I think also too, from an organizational standpoint, it was, well, we'd like to announce this thing, but we kind of want to wait and see if we have like COVID regulations change and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, hindsight's 2020. I think they did what they could with what they had, but I do think we could have figured out our PR
Yeah.
a little bit better to sort of keep that train going, because I don't think we had the larger train, gassed up and ready to kind of keep moving. I think we sort of started, and then and the crazy thing too is, with all of the fame that Måneskin had,
Yeah.
like that was like momentum that just, it felt like once tickets weren't announced in December, which they normally are, we pumped the brakes, and then we never really quite got that steam back in the vessel. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see that totally. And it's one of those things where, like, I don't know, because it just felt like an odd year. It's like it's probably it's the only year I've really followed this closely that it's felt like this way. And I think that probably COVID has a huge piece of that there. Um, and is it just the COVID's holding back from going full momentum? Are we gonna not have to worry about that again next year? But the problem is, whoever wins this year, they're not gonna have the same kind of oomph to them that Måneskin had last year.
I mean, I think it's a different narrative.
Yeah.
It's a completely different narrative. I mean, yes, I would love to see every Eurovision winner reach global fame. But honestly, is that really a likely thing? Probably not, But I will say, I do think that we've talked about this before a little bit, for the contest to keep a little thread of credibility and a little bit of sustainability, I think every 4 to 5 years, we're going to need someone to have a number one track.
I mean,
to
I'm
keep
okay
the
with
quality.
that.
Yeah, to keep the quality, keep our participants, keep, people wanting to participate in this thing because they see it as an opportunity for their music to go global. So we really do I think, need every 4 to 5 years. I think the gap between Euphoria and Måneskin was too long. We're not going to be able to have that. It's going to have to be 4 to 5 years.
Maybe there were people holding back who were going to put their hat in the ring, but didn't because of COVID. So we don't know what's going to happen in 2023. But I am looking forward to seeing, who's going to win tomorrow and what's going to be happening in 2023. So yeah. All right. So I think we've kind of covered everything we wanted to cover in this stream. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, EurovisionFam.com. Go to our site. It's awesome. We've got a great team. And we'll see you guys again soon. Bye.